to episode 335 of Late Night Linux. I'm Joe, and with me are Phelim.
How's it going?
Graham.
Good evening.
And Will.
Hello.
Let's get straight on with our discoveries then. Will, NT4 work cubes.
Right. Bear with me here. You know how, essentially, the GameCube is a PowerPC computer? And you know how Windows NT also had a version that runs on PowerPC? Well, if you like both of those things, you could install Windows NT 3.5.1 or 4 on your Wii. And it comes with drivers that support the various control mechanisms. It has drivers for the video card. And it just runs Windows NT on your Wii or your GameCube if you ever wanted to do that. It does have drivers for Flipper, the ATI graphics card, so I imagine that that's probably not massively different to the generic ATI drivers of the same era. It does have USB support as well, so you can plug a keyboard and a mouse in. And SD card support, so you can run it all off an SD card. So yeah, that's all I've got really. It's stupid and brilliant, and I like it, and nobody should ever use it.
Dear God.
Yeah, my reaction is just, why though?
Because it's there.
Genuine shock and horror, I think, from this end.
I think that a lot of open source started because somebody saw something that could be done, but yet nobody was doing, and then decided they wanted to have a go at it.
And there was nobody there to stop them.
Nobody stopped them. I think that's great. I think that sort of spirit is all about open source, and I like it.
I must have talked about this previously. A friend and I, when we were kids, would always take stuff apart and try and hack it. And our other friend, who was much more normal, said to us, YouTube, you always just want to see what else it can do.
Mm.
And I think that's kind of, certainly with Linux, but with open source more generally, often the driving force, isn't it? It's like you've got this Windows PC, let's see what else it can do.
Mm.
And you've got a perfectly good Wii or GameCube, let's see what else it can do. Can it run a shitty old version of Windows?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
I mean, you have to admire the sort of persistence and, well, skill. But also, really, could there be nothing else that you could be doing? Like fixing Wi-Fi drivers? Like, there's a whole load of real tech shite out there that could be sorted out. Oh.
The cancer research failed another week, boys. What should we do instead? Let's get Windows NT 3.5.1 running on this GameCube. Great idea.
Oh, dear.
Phelim, learn C.
I did technically do C in university and a bit outside of it, but let's just say if I had to sort of save myself from doing anything other than printing a string, and I'm not even sure I could do that off the top of my head, my C is terrible. And I have often thought I should get back into it. I'm sure I'll reinvigorate all those neurons in my head. Python's built from it, so, it would be advantageous to do certain stuff in it, learn how it all works again, get my head around it. But I've never found anything that's been remotely interesting to do. And this is quite an interesting page. There is a thing called the Sphere engine, which I don't know if that is open source or not. I'm not 100% sure, but essentially they have a code window where you can try C stuff out and an output window, and then you can fail your way through coding it and getting it to do all sorts of stuff. So you can do the hello arseface demo program first, is what I did just for fun to see if it actually did compile in a different string, and it worked. And they take you through all the various bits and pieces, arrays, pointers, the lot. And I just thought it was a very well done site. And because it's interactive and it has sort of easy tasks and very good documentation, I looked at a few of the articles that they do ahead of the tutorial, really nicely done. And as a bonus, which I thought this was a higher level C intro, maybe for younger programmers, but it wasn't. But there is a link to their Teach Your Kids to Code, which is a Python intro course for kids where they get to play a 2D game and play around with characters on the screen and actually really get into it. So it's a bit of a twofer in this one. There's C programming for you and there's Python programming for any children. And I just think it's actually really well done because it's visual, get feedback straight away. And yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I clicked on the Hello World tutorial and then you click run at the bottom and you've got your code on one side and the output on the other, and you can edit the code and then run it again. So this is pretty good that you don't have to get an environment set up. You don't have to deal with a compiler. You can just get started immediately with some basic code. This is pretty nice, yeah.
And you can probably do it on your phone as well. I haven't tried that on my potato, so don't quote me, but I imagine you can.
I really like this. One of my kids has been learning Python via his mate at school, and he came home and wanted to get Python set up on his Windows PC, and so you have to download, the idle IDE, and it's a bit clunky and a bit weird, and he's used to games and a web browser. And really what I was looking for was something that he could progress through a series of lessons so I didn't have to teach him. And this is exactly that. This is exactly what I've been looking for over the last couple of weeks. So this is really timely, and I'm definitely going to point him at it. And once he's mastered C, then he can start writing some drivers for me.
I get 10% on any future releases that he has software-wise. That's just the way it is, I'm afraid.
I like the certificate of completion as well. My kids are quite motivated by something that's printed off the internet with their name on it. So I like that.
Yeah, I think it's very well done. And yeah, because it's got instant feedback with graphics, I think that's the way. I mean, I did show Liam one time how to use the Python rich library for a interface in a TUI. It's surprising how not as impressed in it he was as I was. But I was like, but look, the text is red on in the console window. Isn't that cool? I didn't get much feedback.
I remember on an Amstrad CPC 6128 with the color screen, and you could do like border color and the middle color of the screen, and you could kind of make them flash and stuff like that. I really should have stuck with my basic programming back then.
You also back then had like games creation kits. Do you remember? There was a game creation kit, and there was the adventure game creation kits, and even on those like 8-bit machines, there was software that could let you create kind of meta games, which were really fun. And I think we've talked about a couple in some discoveries before, but there's nothing quite like that. Of course, you've got the behemoths like Unity, but something simple that's point and click, or that is a game in itself. I suppose modding has come to that, and level creators.
Are you talking about Roblox?
No.
I was very sad when that project didn't crowdfund your coding robot thing. I thought that was a brilliant idea.
Oh yeah, the Beep Beep PR.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to help you promote it, but you're just terrible at that sort of stuff, Graham.
Terrible at promoting, I agree. Also, I mean, Linux Voice was in a bad place at that time, so it probably worked out for the best that we didn't have an extra commitment on top of everything else falling around our shoulders.
Phelim, Isonzo.
Yeah, so I may have mentioned it before, but it's a World War I first-person shooter that I just think it's really well done. They are very fair with their pricing, and they have free map updates, and it's unlike a lot of games where you need to pay to be good enough because you get extra features. They have none of that. They have skins which you can get purely just because you want to. It runs on Proton, no problem, but there was a bug either in Proton or in Isonzo from the last release, because they released a new map last week on the 24th, and it was for the Moshin area map. And when it came out, I couldn't get Steam to load the game. And I was there for a day. I thought, okay, I have no time to look at this. I just wanted to load up and see that it actually worked. Didn't work. Saturday came along. I tried it again. Didn't work. And I thought, is this me or is it it? And I couldn't get anything. I couldn't get any logs. That couldn't tell me anything to do. It looks like it might be something to do with a Windows DLL. That's part of Proton in Wine, obviously, underneath the covers. And then I realized that I'd forgotten that I had originally started playing this with multi-monitor, and the Linux version didn't like that as much, so I switched to Proton. And I forgot that the Linux version of it existed, so I flicked it over to stop using Proton in Steam. It re-downloaded the version that it needed to, fired it up, perfect, works absolutely flawlessly, and it's certainly not slower. I don't know if it's faster, but it's definitely not worse. And yeah, it works well. And I've only got the one monitor these days with that ridiculous size. So happy days there. And if anybody fancies a game, there you go.
Okay, this episode is sponsored by Tailscale. Go to tailscale.com/LNL. Tailscale is a proper VPN for connecting your devices and infrastructure together. not something that's marketed at people watching foreign streaming services or who want to hide their browsing habits from coffee shop staff. It's the easiest way to connect devices and services to each other wherever they are. PCs and laptops, servers, cloud instances, 3D printers, network storage, connect anything and everything you want wherever it is and get started in minutes. Tailscale's personal plan will always be free, and you get up to 100 devices and 3 users for free with no credit card required. The free personal plan is enough for me to send my offsite backups to my parents' house and to get into my LAN while I'm out and about. But what gave me the confidence to start relying on Tailscale was their straightforward business model. If you want to use Tailscale at an industrial scale, with more users and devices, or take advantage of features like MDM policies, auditing, network flow logging, and priority support, you can join over 10,000 companies as a paying customer. So support the show and go to tailscale.com/LNL and try Tailscale out at home or at work today. That's tailscale.com/LNL. On to a bit of admin then. First of all, thank you everyone who supports us with PayPal and Patreon. We really do appreciate that. If you want to join those people, you can go to latenightlinux.com/support. And remember that for various amounts on Patreon, you can get an advert-free RSS feed of either just this show or all the shows in the Late Night Linux family. And you even get some episodes early. And if you want to get in contact, you can email show@latenightlinux.com. Graham, you've got some more documentation-related discoveries.
Yeah, so recently I talked about AstroDocs as a static site generator I'd been playing with. I wanted something for a personal project, and I asked for any recommendations that listeners may have. And a couple of people did send in their recommendations, and the first was from Scott Barning, who recommended material for MKDocs. So they're two kind of closely related projects but separate. MKDocs is a well-established static site generator typically used for documentation. It looks very documentation-like. It's a great project. It's kind of built, I think, around like a YAML descriptor file, but it can look a bit, 1990s, I suppose. Material is like a material design overhaul sitting on top of MKDocs. It's more than a theme. It's like a separate project in the way that it's run, and it really does look beautiful. I did actually try this in the pathway to AstroDocs, and it was only that it was a little bit too close to being kind of documentation that I needed something that felt a bit more flexible, that I tried something else. But I highly recommend it as well if you're looking for something quick and easy. You get started and you've got professional looking documentation straight away.
We've got a very fancy website material for MKDocs. It's just hosted on GitHub, but it's very graphical and CSS heavy.
Yes, and you can very quickly get exactly the same look for your own site from your own Git repo without really any resources. It's very slick and it's very modifiable. It's great. And then Nick Payne sent in another suggestion, which I haven't used, which is called Markata. It's also open source and a static site generator. It's installed with Python, but I think he said there's a lot of JavaScript in it. I don't know. The demo site doesn't render too well, at least in Firefox, and if that's what's intentional with a load of the blurring on the front. But it's another option to try, which is what I asked. I was looking for something that was easily modifiable and programmatically so. So in theory, I could modify the documentation through JavaScript with this. So yeah, I'll give it a go.
An MDQ?
Yeah, so this is all very documentation related. I apologize if it's boring as hell. But lots of people will be familiar with the JQ tool for basically making sense of JSON files. If you've got a JSON file, you'll know that while it makes sense in some ways when you look at it as a file and you can kind of parse it, the structure and syntax of it makes it very difficult for search and extract specific terms. So JQ is really a tool that you pipe the JSON into and you use it to search for something. So you could search for a URL, for example, in a JSON file, and rather than get all of the formatting around it or perhaps a load of spurious results, you'll just get the URL. Well, MDQ does exactly the same thing for Markdown files. Markdown files don't suffer from the same kind of overbearing syntax as JSON, but they still kind of hide really important bits of information within, I don't know, code blocks or the link syntax, for example, or images, even within tables. which are horrendous in Markdown. So what MDQ lets you do is you pipe the output of your Markdown file into MDQ, do a search like a simple grep, and it will return the results, whether it's a single cell in a Markdown table or whether it's the URL you want from a link, ignoring all of the formatting, for example. So it's really powerful, like JQ, when you do it to script changes across a set of documentation, although it works just as well on one. So if you need to update a link across a set of docs, this is the tool to use, for example. And I think people who are used to using JQ look for JQ equivalents for all of their kind of different syntax text-based files. And this is the best I've seen for Markdown.
It's also written in Rust. I didn't hear you mention that. I just thought it was very important to let everybody know.
Do you have to say, by the way, at the end of it?
Yeah, I think you do. Yeah, by the way. And in true Rust style, 47 other packages were installed along with it. God knows what is on my machine now.
Don't worry, it's all memory safe. It's fine.
Oh, yeah, okay, good. Brew on Linux. Just stop. Brew or Docker. It's like the two worst possible choices.
You're going to love Bluefin then. Add Flatpak to it and you're really cooking.
Yeah, cooking your processor.
I have discovered that it is very easy to move to a new Mastodon instance. Now, I don't think we should get into why. It's really not interesting. People who care know. People who don't need to know. But anyway, the actual technical aspects of moving to a new Mastodon instance, it's so easy. I've written a blog post about it, mostly for my own reference, so I'll link to that. But if you don't care about your old posts, then it takes about 5 minutes to do it.
Yeah, I was happy you paved the way for me on this one because I did the same thing. I downloaded my whole archive. I requested a full download of my archive. It, to be honest, didn't take that much longer. I had to wait on the system to give me the file to download, but that was pretty quick. So, yeah, I'm glad I had your walkthrough, though.
Yeah, well, for me, I have my post set to auto-delete anyway. Like, social media is ephemeral to me. I have a blog for things that I want to keep longer term. So I don't mind, but I think there are possibly ways to transfer old posts across, but I don't know how well they work. Like I said, wasn't interested in it. But it's really just a case of going into your account settings, exporting the things that you need, like the people you follow, people you've muted and blocked, that sort of thing, creating your new account, uploading them there, creating an alias to your old account in your new account, and then just going to the migration thing in your old account, telling it, I've moved here. And that's pretty much it. I mean, obviously, you've got to set up your profile and your photo and everything. But really, once you know how to do it, and I did it 3 times this week, the first time took me about 15 minutes. Second time, maybe 10 minutes. Third time, 5 minutes, if that.
This is really timely for reasons that you alluded to earlier on. I think I'm kind of over Mastodon generally, and in fact, social media generally. We don't need to go into that too much now. Nevertheless, I think I'm going to move my account off of Mastodon. So this is really useful, and thank you for writing it down. It's a good reference.
Yeah, well, I moved to Mastodon.social, and people are saying, oh, they've got spam problems and they don't do moderation. I've not seen any of that yet. If I do have problems there, I now know how easy it is to move. And the only real downside is, apart from losing your old posts, which some people are precious about, is you do lose a few followers. It tends to be, in my experience, people who are using like niche software that isn't Mastodon. So, other Fediverse software that sort of doesn't get the memo that you've moved, because I think that's how it works. It kind of sends out a message to everyone like, this person has moved, so you should follow them over here now. But like, you're talking about like 5% maybe. So yeah, if you are using niche Fediverse software to follow me or the show or 2.5 admins, and it didn't work, then you'll have to refollow manually. But otherwise, it's just so much easier. I mean, you couldn't even consider moving from Twitter to Facebook, could you? I mean, just that isn't a thing. Or even Blue Sky to somewhere else. I mean, maybe you can, I don't know. But moving from one Mastodon instance to another is so easy. And I'm so grateful for the documentation that I was able to find and just how easy the process is. Highly recommend it. If you get fed up with where you are for whatever reason, just move. Graham, The Witness.
Yeah, so this isn't really a discovery, but it's a game that most people will know if they're into gaming. Jonathan Blow, the person who created Braid, which was a really innovative indie game from the early 2000s. His sequel is called The Witness. It's a first-person 3D game, just crammed full of puzzles. I bought it in 2016 when it came out, and I've put this in because I've just finished it. All these years later, I kept playing it and getting frustrated and playing it and getting frustrated. It's very fucking frustrating. It's one of the hardest games I've ever played, I have to say, but also just an incredible game as well, a work of art in lots of ways, and tough as hell, but doable. I did have to look up a couple of really obtuse problems. Maybe 3 times I did this, but ultimately very satisfying, and I highly recommend it.
So were you playing Harrison Ford or the Amish people?
There is a native Linux version. It's a brilliant game.
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking this could be like if I did some sort of heinous crime, they could like sentence me to play this as a punishment and it would be worse than life imprisonment.
There's 400 of those puzzles that you have to solve. And the thing is that there are no instructions. You have to discover the game itself. It's a great piece of design and it teaches you about new elements in the puzzles as you go along very intuitively. And if you're finding a puzzle too difficult, you've missed an area where it teaches you how to do it. Yeah.
I think I'd be missing some sort of brain cells or whatever, yeah. I don't like the fact that the cover of the game looks like it lures you in with a completely different thing where you think it's like some sort of open world adventure game thing.
Well, yeah, it is an open world. You can wander around and then you'll find these puzzles hidden in places that will unlock areas and basically you put it together. You just piece it together in your head what you need to do. And yeah, it took me 8 years to piece it together.
Have you got an hours count? Did you buy it on Steam?
I did, yeah, and it's only taken 40 hours in total, which I think tells you a lot about how I don't play games as much as I used to.
Still a whole work week, eh?
That's pure coincidence.
I do have a lot of meetings.
Right, well, we better get out of here then. We'll be back next week when who knows what it'll be. But until then, I've been Joe.
I've been Phelan.
I've been Graham.
And I've been Will.
See you later.